Ladies and gentlemen, the rapper Cardi B has learned something from the Carmelo Anthony trial.
I sure learned something from this. I learned to tell my sons, if a white boy, do not argue with no white boys. Cause baby, ain't no law protecting you if something goes down with them. That's what I learned from this case. I'ma tell my sons, if you argue with a white boy, walk the away. Cause the law don't protect you.
I'm Rich Lowry of National Review, and that's the world famous entertainer making a completely preposterous point about the Carmelo Anthony case. So she says this is about whether black kids can argue with white kids, which is totally ridiculous and fails, as Anthony's defenders always do, to truly grapple with what happened on that fateful day. So I understand parents telling kids, don't argue with cops. That is a bad idea because oftentimes it becomes a more forceful form of defiance. It's not doing what the cop says and defying his orders and running away and maybe fighting the cop. And that's the sort of conduct that is almost always present when we have these tragic police shootings. So, yeah, don't do it. Don't argue with cops. But the idea that black kids can't argue with white kids, this case fundamentally wasn't about an argument. An argument is you took my parking spot, you cut in line at the grocery store or at the coffee shop, or relevant to what happened here, you are in my team's tent, please leave. That's an argument. So to recapitulate, again, the facts of the case, basically, Austin Metcalf, football player, also runs track. Anthony, football player, also runs track. They go to different high schools. They're at a track meet, and Metcalf is in the tent for his high school, his team. And Anthony, it's raining out, Anthony goes into the tent and is asked to leave by multiple people, by accounts at the trial. And he refuses and says no. So this could have just been an argument if he would have said, hey guys, I'm not bothering anyone. Could I just hang out here? Or just give me a couple minutes. And I'll make my way out of here. Don't worry about it. Or I saw someone on the other side of the tent. I think I might know, or whatever it is, right? That would be an argument. Better yet, he could have avoided the argument and just left as he was requested to, but he didn't. And instead of having an argument, as anyone would recognize one, with Metcalf, he threatened Metcalf. He said something like, touch me and you'll find out. And then when Metcalf does touch him, pushes him, shoves him, something of that nature, he stabs Metcalf in the chest and kills him. As for the second part of what Cardi B says in that clip there at the beginning of this video, that no law is going to protect a black kid in this circumstance, well, yeah, the laws are against murder. The laws protect victims of murder or potential victims of murder, right? There are all sorts of procedural protections for the accused, and Anthony got these. You read your Miranda rights, you get a lawyer, you get a free and fair jury trial. He got all of that. The problem was not that the deck was stacked against him as a black kid. The problem is that the facts of this case were so damning for him. After a brief altercation that was in no way life-threatening, he stabs another kid in the chest. That's the problem. And it's the issue that Anthony's defenders won't truly grapple with. Instead, they're coming up with these bizarre theories that this case proves that just white and black people can't interact with one another. Here's the influencer Quentin Latham.
I won't get into the weeds, but this is the one thing that this story made me want to share with you guys. It's time as black people that we begin to play the offense. What do I mean by play the offense? Honestly and truthfully, stay out of the company of white people. That's really all I got. And I'm not trying to imply that all white people are bad, but it is just easier to stay out of the company of white people when you can. Some of y'all wear it as a badge of honor that you send sending your children to all white schools, that is not a badge of honor that your daughter is the only black girl in the class. It is just easier to stay out of the company of white people. I know that it's not possible in all instances. I know your kids want to be in sports and they want to be in all these different things. And some of us live in very, very, very diverse neighborhoods. Stop letting your children go in white folks' house unsupervised. Stop sending your children unattended to white folks' birthday parties and they the only black child there and there's 13 other little white kids. And I'm not saying don't let your children play with white children. What I'm saying is let them play with them in your yard so you can watch them, so you can facilitate what's going on, okay? Put your children in soccer on the black side of town. Send your children to black high schools. Send your children to HBCUs. It's one less thing to have to deal with.
What is he talking about? Does he think that at kids' birthday parties with white and black kids there, they're routinely stabbings? I don't know, after someone cuts the birthday cake or something, or soccer games with white and black kids descend into chaos and melees and racial violence? No, that is not America at all. And one reason the Anthony case was so shocking is because it's so unusual. Most kids don't take knives to track meets. Most kids don't stab another kid in the chest and kill them for nothing, for no reason. And this gets to another thing that is really bizarre about this case. You have the parents of Anthony being interviewed. Now, I understand they're distraught. They want to be there for their son. They want to defend their son, but they're treated in these interviews as if they are the victims, as if Anthony is the victim. If you didn't know better, you'd think, oh, he was the one who was stabbed and killed, and somehow his killer walked free.
So do you believe your son received a fair trial?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And we're going to keep fighting.
Mm-hmm.
We will not stop fighting for justice for my son.
And as parents, have you all struggled with guilt, asking yourselves, is there anything differently? I know, Kayla, you said you wish you had gone to that track meet. Is there anything that you both wish you could have done differently?
I wish I would have just been rebellious.
Well, they don't like it for obvious reasons, but justice was done in this case. This was the totally appropriate outcome that accorded with the facts of the case. Now, amid the tidal wave of idiocy we've seen and a lot of the commentary from the left about this case, I want to highlight something I think there's a pearl of wisdom in. Jamel Hill of The Atlantic, I don't agree with her pretty much on anything. I don't agree with some of the presumptions and predicates of what she's saying here in this clip I'm going to show you, but I do think she gets at something important.
Let this be a lesson to us, especially to teach our young black boys, because we have definitely seen this in our community where the slightest of things has touched off something that can't be reversed. So we need to be having conversation with our young black boys about emotional regulation and decision making and discernment and wisdom. And those are not easy conversations to have in a world that sees them the way that they do, but we have to have them to save them, to preserve them. We have to have them.
Now, the implication of that is that this situation was Anthony's responsibility, of course. Obviously, he was the one who showed poor impulse control. He was the one who, in a split second, ended the life of another young person unjustly and blighted his own because he didn't and couldn't walk away, and he brought a knife to a track meet. These are the fundamental facts that his defenders can't grapple with and the racialist voices on the left can't grapple with. Instead, they want to pretend that the problem is that somehow inherently problematic or too dangerous for black people to interact with white people, and that's disgusting. Hey, by the way, do yourself a favor, comment, like, or subscribe. I guarantee you won't regret it. I'm Rich Lowry, over and out.